Greetings everyone, welcome to Just Advance. This game was played in FIDE Swiss 2025 with the black pieces. We have our one of the favorite as a kid, after Vishy Sir, he was the next best thing in chess, and this is Vidit Gujrathi, also the defending champion of FIDE Swiss 2025. And with the white pieces, we have Anton Demchenko. Anton Demchenko, he played against Anton Demchenko. He has already drew against him, but now facing him again. And with the black pieces, he might want to put some pressure, but Anton would be ready to take him on with the white pieces. So let's see what happens here. Knight to f3. We go for the ready opening d5, b3, and knight bishop to b5. This is the Nimzo Larsen attack of the Reti, and we have bishop to b2, e6, g3, and now just going for this h6, bishop to g2, knight to f6, castles, and bishop to e7. So very nice opening. You don't have to worry about it much, but definitely Anton would have prepared something for it. So now just d3, castles, knight to c3, and now just bishop all the way back. We have e4, a5 now, and now just knight to d2, knight to c6, a3, queen to d7, rook to e1, and d captures. Now d captures is a committal decision, so most likely here you're going to get the rook into the game. Most likely you'll be praying towards the center, but when you don't have an attack towards the king side, most likely what happens is those pawn pushes and everything, the entire game shifts towards the queen side. So that's, if that's what he's maybe facing it on, then most likely what's going to happen is you're going to have to defend all your game, and maybe if you get some opportunity, you're going to pounce on. So here knight captures on e4, knight captures, and rook a to d8. We have this knight to d2, rook f to e8, and just knight to c4, b5 now, pushing the knight back. And with a move like knight to e5, it seems a bit weird, but you're gonna be facing a lot of trades, and maybe you face a move like f6 as well. After bishop to c3, you play b4, a captures, and now just bishop back to b2. And most likely with the structure, it could be a draw, but then again, maybe you don't want to give your opponent a bit too much, because the structure, you won't be able to push those pawns because of Don Poisson. And here in this position, the bishop would be somewhere along the line get activated, and you could have a very nice position. But here after b5, we have knight to d2 back, and now bishop to c5, a4, and knight to b4. This is one of the games where Vidit absolutely likes these kinds of game, because he wants to absolutely grind till the very end. He loves a grinding game, and he pushes towards it, and tries to actually win the game in the very end. So here bishop to e4. Now bishop to e4 is a move that I don't know why he played it, because now most likely you don't want to trade those bishops, and instead of keeping the bishop pair, he just wants to trade it for a bishop that is not even doing anything in this position. So the c6, but now just comes bishop captures, king captures, knight to f3, and now just queen to c7. He had an advantage, threw away the advantage. Let's see now what happens. Say queen to e2, bishop to b6, but now just pushing the pawn to d4. And pushing the pawn to d4, it's something that definitely he's trying to push for and press in this position. But how do you even press? Do you get the knight into the game? Do you get the rook into the game? Do you have something else prepared? Do you want to push that somewhere along the line? I don't think so, because the bishop is going to be eyeing that for a very long time. And yeah, it becomes a difficult thing. So here just king to g8 back, now not allowing any checks and any tempos to come in the position. So here just c3, pushing the knight back. We have knight to d5, a captures, c captures, and just c4. And now b captures now, and just pawn captures, and just going for this. So this knight is going to be staying there for a while, while white is going to have a very nice pass pawn in the center. So here just c5, pushing the bishop back, bishop goes to a7, and bishop to c3. Now you would be very happy to trade that, but I don't think so you should, because if you want to press, you want to win the game, there is no point in trading more pieces. Here if you go for knight to c6, which was played in the game, queen to a6, but now just rook to d5, and you can see that white is pressing a bit too much in this position. Bishop caps on a5, queen goes back to d7, bishop to b6, and now what do you do? If you play bishop captures in this position, then after c captures, you're going to have to defend this pass pawn. This pass pawn is already crossed a bit too much. Here knight captures, rook captures, and after b7, you have to play rook to b8 and rook e to b1, now protecting everything. But now let's say rook to d6, attacking the queen. Queen needs to move, and this is the only square, so while protecting the pawn. So let's say you play queen to c7, but it's just a little bit difficult position to actually play with the black pieces. And maybe if you press here, you might be able to get something out of it, but it's still very unclear, because most likely you're going to lose the pawn, and then you're going to have to play 4 against 3, and most likely it will be ending in a draw only. But still, but here after this, bishop to b8, not trading more pieces and still trying to keep the pressure. This was the best decision that Vidit made in this game. And here queen to a4, but just rook to c8, rook e to d1, g5, now h3, and now finally going for this very nice h5 move. You could also go for a very nasty line with e5, and e5 is just basically saying that d captures, rook captures. Once the rook comes in, you go for the queen caps on h3, and it might seem very scary, but the thing is that there is no continuation here, unfortunately for Vidit, and that's why maybe he just didn't decide. He just decided not to go for this because with these here you might be giving your opponent a bit too much. So here after h3 we have h5 now, just finally pushing those pawns all the way. h4, but now just going for h captures and g captures. Now you're never pushing here, but the problem is you have opened up your king a bit too much, so queen can fall back and maybe there could be some ideas of attacking your king. So king to h8 was played, but now just queen to b3, and I told you about this, and this is going to be very very scary. Rook to g8, but just queen to e3, king to h7, and knight to f3. So those knight jumps are going to be in the position here. Just rook to g4, a very nice rook lift by Vidit. We have rook to a8 now, but just rook to f5, and obviously you cannot capture because knight is defending it. You're putting in some pressure in this position, definitely trying to go for that push, but here just knight to h2 and rook to g8 was played. But now rook to a3, just moving the rook backs, and now finally executing that. And you have to be a little bit careful in this position because it might seem like there is nothing in this position, but with these rooks there and your king now being unsafe, with the king being here, it seemed like position is absolutely fine. There is there is no issue because those rooks can defend, and even though you have an escape route, there is nothing you can do, white can do in this position. But with that push, I mean, black is definitely pressing here. Queen to e4, we have h captures, and h captures, your immediate mind just goes to pre-moving this this f captures, but the move here is queen to h4. This is what you want to do in this position, because here just king to g7, and now you play f captures because now you'll be defending the pawn. Rook is going to be defending the pawn, and there is no clear way on how to proceed. So maybe this king to f8, you just move away, and most likely it would have entered in a draw. But here after h captures on g3, f captures was played immediately, but now just comes this bishop captures, and now unfortunately you're just worse. You're just given a pawn for no apparent reason, and your king is much more weaker than you thought it would be. Here just king to h1, you have to play this, but I mean, you don't want to want it to stay there. And now black has a +1 advantage. So how are you going to deal with that? And Vidit is definitely going to press. This is the first opportunity he has gotten in this game in a long time, and he's going to press. Here queen to d5, but now just comes queen captures, rook captures. Here rook d to d3, and just rook d to g5, bishop to a5, f5. Now finally going for this d5, and we have e captures, rook captures, and finally knight caps on a5, rook captures. It seems like you're doing something with that pawn, but unfortunately you're not. You're just getting mated in this position. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video and try and find out the only winning move in this position, which wins the game right on the spot. So have at it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is this very nasty bishop to f2, with the idea that you cannot do anything in this position. Even if you go for this rook to a7 check, this king moves back. Unfortunately, you don't have any defense in this position. Even if you go back, this would be a very nasty checkmate. So that is not the idea. So what do? The idea is basically engine is saying that there is 7 you're just getting mated in 7 moves, and those 7 moves are absolute rubbish moves, which is this rook to h7 check. So you just keep on throwing away your rooks, and after this there is nothing you can do. Even if you go here, this is a check. Once you block, now this is going to be the very nasty checkmate in the position. Yeah, so that was the 7 moves checkmate here in this position. And yeah, I mean, with it, unfortunately he missed it, but the position is so winning here. In this position you could not go wrong. So here just bishop cats on h2 was played. This is now mate in 11, and here rook to d7 check, king to h8, and rook to a3 was tried, but now just comes this rook to h5, and it was on this move, on just move 54, that Anton Demchenko resigned the game, and Vidit got this spectacular victory before the rest day. So definitely he will be feeling very happy with himself. 54 moves game, a long grind, reaching the second time control almost, but yeah, with very low time on the clock, he was able to get this victory. So yeah, kudos to him. Let's see how he's able to perform in the next rounds, and yeah, I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you very much for watching.